Have you ever had one of those days that I call a downer day? You know, it's one of those times when nothing seems to be going right. You start to wonder if this thing that you've been trying to accomplish really is meant to be, or you start to wonder about your capabilities to make it happen. Maybe you even start to say those things to yourself like, am I smart enough to pull this off? And maybe you even start to contemplate giving it all up, thinking, you know, I'm tired of working so hard on this thing, I just want to move on. Well, I think we've all had one of those days. I know that I have, and I would bet that you have too. I think everyone who's walked this earth has had one of those days. Hi, I'm Cindy Caldwell, the Happiness Queen, and you can find me at elegantinnerguidance.com. And I'm here today. We're in the 4th week of the month of July, 2013, and we're continuing our discussion regarding faith. Faith has been our theme for the month of July. And in this 4th week, rather than offering an insight about having faith or finding faith or using faith to support you in your life, I simply want to offer some inspirational thoughts and quotes. Because I think when I'm having one of those downer days, one of the things that I find most helpful is pulling out affirmation cards, or cards that I keep nearby that I can pull out and read at those times when I'm just feeling the lowest. And I was actually reminded of this when I saw a quote by Christopher Reeve. You may remember Christopher Reeve as the actor who played Superman, probably 20 or 30 years ago. He was quite popular in the movie series. Well, Superman goes back way back, but it was a renewal of the storyline. He became popular for playing Superman, but yet he became even more popular at the time after the making of that movie when he fell off of a horse at an equestrian event and was paralyzed. And he was paralyzed for the rest of his life. And it was in seeing his quote that it made me think of those ultimate times when faith is required. And you can imagine the type of faith he needed to have to get himself through that horrific accident. And what Christopher Reeve said was, a hero is an ordinary individual who finds the strength to persevere and endure in spite of overwhelming obstacles. And we can all imagine what kind of overwhelming obstacles he had, and yet the faith that it took to keep him moving through that. So I found inspiration in his quote that if a man can get through what he got through, I can certainly get through this little stumbling block that I might be experiencing today. Or I was also another Christopher Columbus, who discovered America. And he's known as saying, you can never cross the ocean until you have courage to lose sight of the shore. And just in my earlier example, sometimes when we're doing those things that we wonder why, we kind of feel like we're in a sea of nothingness, a sea maybe going nowhere, or we're wondering where we're floating to. And it's when we do lose sight of the shore, when there's no clear-cut plan, there's no clear destination maybe, all we know is where we need to sail to today. Those are the moments when faith is required the most. And then a third quote I want to share with you, and then I encourage you to go to this week's blog and look. I have the other quotes that I have shared there. I've got maybe half a dozen or so quotes that I hope they inspire you like they inspire me, and that maybe you'll even copy those down on index cards like I have, so that you can reflect on those at the moments when you need it most. And the final quote is from an author that's unknown, and the quote is, I have faith the moment I step into the unknown, especially when I'm terrified to do so. And isn't that so true? When is faith truly required of us? It's when we're moving forward and we're terrified to do so. We don't know exactly what's coming next. All we know, though, is that we're supposed to be taking this step, and we find the courage and we have the faith to take that step. I'm Cindy Caldwell, the Happiness Queen. You can find me at elegantinnerguidance.com, and I just want to say thanks so much for stopping by, and keep the faith.